Before we hear the cases today, I will read the guidelines by which we operate. This is a public hearing, and we are the Zoning Board of Adjustments for Putnam County, Florida. We operate under the authority of Articles 11 and 12 of the Land Development Code as amended. The primary responsibility of the board is to hear and decide appeals challenging final determinations made by the Planning and Development Services Department under the Land Development Code, and to hear and act upon requests for variances, special use permits, non-conforming use determinations, and preliminary development plans under the Land Development Code. A variance is a relaxation of the requirements of the zoning code in a particular case where, because of unusual circumstances, a literal enforcement of our zoning code would result in undue and unnecessary hardship. The zoning code permits us to authorize variances only for height, size of structure, size of yards, and open spaces. If we grant a variance, we may impose reasonable conditions on the use of the property, which must be satisfied if the variance is to remain valid. The standards we use in deciding whether or not a grant a variance are listed in Section 45-833 of the Land Development Code. Okay, we do not have a special use permit application today, so I'm going to skip that part of the reading. Procedurally, we will call each case by name and number. A member of the staff will then briefly explain to us the nature of each request. We will then take any comments from the applicant or their representative, followed by any public comments concerning the request. Please direct all comments and statements to the board and not to other people in the audience. Before speaking, we will ask each person to be recognized, come forward to the lectern, and identify his or herself by name and address. After all persons wishing to speak have been heard, we will entertain a motion from the board. This motion will be voted on by board members and become our final order. Any decision made by this board can be appealed to the circuit court. However, any appeal must be filed within 30 days after the Board of Adjustments has rendered the final order which is being appealed. Are there any questions? Before the first case is heard, all of those wishing to speak will need to be sworn in. So will the notary please administer the oath? Okay, the first case today is variance 23-000012. But before we hear the staff report, there are two things we need to do. First is that we need to a roll call for ex parte communication.
Earl Ballinger?
No.
Mark Fisher?
No.
Linda Osborne?
No.
TJ Smith?
No.
Ron West?
No.
Roy Weaver?
No.
Okay, and the next thing is that we need to see if there's any conflict of interest on any of this application. So a roll call for conflict of interest.
Earl Ballinger?
No.
Mark Fisher?
No.
Linda Osborne?
No.
TJ Smith?
No.
Ron West?
No.
Roy Weaver?
No.
Okay, staff?
Madam Chair, if I may real quick, are we switching from the agenda item 2 as election of officers?
Okay. Do we want to do that last? That way, can we change the order today and put election of officers after we've heard the cases?
Yes, ma'am, you can if you'd like.
Does there anybody have any objection to that?
No, that's when we
Okay.
normally do it.
Then we will do election of officers later. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I am, for the record, Michael Graves, Planner 1, and first we will be going over variance case 23-000012. The applicant is Nagia Nicholas, location of 640 Union Avenue in Crescent City, Florida, with a parcel of 3.2 acres, zoned residential R2HA, with a future land use of agriculture. She is asking for a variance to allow for a barbed wire fence in the residential 2HA zoning district. The parcel was created on July 10th in 1992 as Lot 11 of the Lake English Recorded Subdivision. This was after the first county zoning ordinance of October 1st, 1975. The property is approximately 100 feet in width, and as are all lots in this subdivision. It is surrounded by agricultural lands on all sides, aside from what's inside the subdivision. When the Lake English Recorded Subdivision was first platted in case R90-007, it turned the entire subdivision into residential 1HA zoning to enforce certain restrictions on the properties. However, this was overturned in petition R93-11 to change it to R2HA, removing these restrictions. These two cases caused Lake English Subdivision to become misaligned in zoning with the surrounding properties. Here we can see the future land use map where you'll notice that everything is agriculture in the area. Here's the zoning where you can see that the Lake English subdivision is the only residential in the area. And here's an aerial of the area. The property is surrounded by agricultural zoning lands and was once designated as agricultural zoning. It was only through spot zoning of the subdivision that it is now zoned R2HA, and the applicant considered attempting to rezone back to agriculture. However, staff was not supportive of the consideration due to the Lake English subdivision being R2HA and the dimensional requirements not being conducive to the property in question. This is a special condition that existed prior to their ownership of the land. These are not a result of the applicant. These are not a result of the applicant's failure to comply with law. The zoning incongruencies were performed by previous owners of the Lake English subdivision in both the previously mentioned petitions. Granting the variance would not confer the applicant with any special privileges. The variance would be a small amount at best of special privileges for the R2HA zoning district. However, the applicant has already indicated their desire to create a bona fide farm on this property. If the fence was installed after the farm was into operation and they had a proper business license, a variance would not even be required for this in accordance with LDC section 45352F1. A literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district. The applicant is wanting a fence for the safety of their home and crops. The applicant has claimed that neighbors have damaged their homes, stolen their crops, and trespassed on their property. After installing the fence, the applicant claims that all these incidents have stopped. Likewise, other properties in the Lake English subdivision also have barbed wire fences. The variance granted is the minimum necessary possible. A 6-foot chain link fence would possibly provide a similar level of security, and administrative vesting would be required to have it go fully around the property. In terms of sharp classified fencing, however, this is the minimum required. Granting the variance would be in harmony with the general intent and purposes of the ordinance. The purpose of a fence is to keep intruders out of an area. Any fence is technically detrimental to public welfare. Sharp classified fences are not traditionally allowed in residential areas due to potential injuries to children and the elderly. Staff believes in this case the property should look more in harmony with the majority of the area around it, which is agricultural land, with sparse population and a greater need for safety over the concerns of small children and the elderly. For the record, the image that you're seeing is the aforementioned other parcel. That would be 644 Union Avenue, also part of the Lake English subdivision, which is R2HA. The fence there is barbed wire, which is non-conforming, even though it's hard to see on the image, unfortunately. And here is the applicant's fence, which is, again, barbed wire at 640 Union Avenue. Staff finds that the request is mostly in compliance with the LDC Section 45-833's requirements for a variance. The fence was installed prior to contacting staff to see if it was allowed, and it is not the absolute minimum required for this property, but is elsewise consistent. As such, staff recommends approval of the variance for the continued existence of a barbed wire fence for the lot in a residential 2HA zoning district, as it meets most of the criteria issuance of Section 45-833 of the Land Development Code pursuant to the following condition. If more than 50% of the linear footage of the fence is damaged or deteriorated or obliterated by a natural calamity, the applicant shall not be permitted to reestablish the barbed wire fence unless the property is listed as a bona fide farm operation on the Putnam County Property Appraiser website. Any questions?
Any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Before we continue, let's do a site visit roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the applicant, and I'm going to kill this name, so is it Nicholas? Okay, would you like to come forward and speak to the board? Good afternoon. For the record, please state your name and address.
Nagia Nicholas, 640
Pull it-
Union Avenue.
Pull it down just a little bit so we can hear you.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
Nagia Nicholas, 640 Union Avenue in Crescent City, Florida, 32112.
Okay, anything else you'd like to tell the board other than what was in the staff report?
Well, I just want to apologize for my ignorance about not having idea of barbed wire is not allowed or whatever. I didn't know that ahead of everything because I like to do everything legally and I do everything right. So I want to apologize for that, but I have to press that this have really given me a peace of mind because I do have a lots of trespassing on my property. The person that sold me the property, he still think he owns it and he can walk in and do whatever he wants in it. And there is other neighbors that do have parties at night. They come in, they have flashlights, they're drunk, they're smoking around my house on my property at nighttime. I have a wheelchair-bound mother. I have a daughter. She's sitting in the back. She sits at night and she tries to study, and then we have the smell of smoke coming through the windows. We look outside and we see like behind the thing, the people are walking. So that have been a security issue for me. My finances will not allow me to take that fence off to put another for whatever kind that will be approved. At the moment, I don't have that kind of finances to do this. Also, it is my wishes to grow microgreens and plant some fruit trees later on, but I cannot do this at the moment because I take care of my mother. So that will be hard for me to do, but it's my future plan to do so, to help my community and be able to be, something good for the community I live in. And I appreciate your consideration for protecting me and my family.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to come forward and speak in favor of this application? Anyone speak in favor of the application? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, anyone wishing to come and speak in opposition? Okay, were you sworn in, Ms.? No. Okay, well, you need to be sworn in if you want to speak today, so I didn't think you had raised your hand.
Mary Phillips of the state of Florida. All which persons who wish to speak on the record either for or against, please stand and be sworn. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth in the testimony if so, please answer I do.
Okay, would you come forward then? Please state your name and address for the record.
Thomas Robbins, 638 Union Avenue. I'm the next door neighbor.
Okay.
What she says about parties and people running around with flashlights and stuff and trespassers, I will not go on her property ever. And I don't know where she come up with these people smoking and stuff. If it's the neighbors on the other side of me, it could be, because they're closer to her house than I am.
Okay. You're in opposition of the being able to grant this variance? Is that what you're saying?
I would not want the variance.
Okay, you would not or will?
No, I will not sign for the variance.
Okay, all right. Any questions from Ms.?
And one other thing, the fence on 644, that person's aware of the fence now, and he's going to take the barbed wire down and put up plain
Okay.
wire.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? All right, no one's coming forward, so at this time, we will close the meeting to the public and open it up for board motion and discussion.
Madam Chairman, I move we approve variance 23-0000012 as it meets the criteria for variances required by section 45-833 of the Putnam County Land Development Code and the approval of the zoning department. I second.
And
With the addition of condition 1. I second.
No, I will second that.
Do we have a second? You already,
Yep.
TJ. Okay, isn't there something in that statement that, for the chairman to sign the final order? Or has that been taken away?
Yes, no.
No.
And authorize the chairman to sign the final order.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we had everything in there. Okay, we have a motion and second to approve variance 23-000012. Is there any further discussion? If not, all of those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, motion carries 6-0. Good luck in your endeavor, but there is a 30-day appeal process. So if there's any issues or concerns, please work with staff. Thank you. Okay, before we hear the next case, we need to have some questions answered. Okay, so we're going to go back to any person, any conflict of interest, or any one of the board members. So we will do a roll call for conflict of interest.
No. No.
No.
No.
No.
No.
Okay, we will also do the ex parte communication roll call.
No. No.
No.
No.
No.
Okay, the next case is variance 23 dash, I'm sorry? No, wait. I'm sorry. A variance 23-000013.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Once again, for the record, Michael Graves, Planner 1. The applicant for this variance is Thomas J. Hill III, located at 482 State Road 26 in Melrose. The parcel is 0.17 acres in size and currently zoned agriculture with a future land use of rural residential. They are requesting a variance to reduce the road frontage requirement from 120 feet to 75 feet. The parcel was first created on December 1st in 1985, after the adoption of the first county zoning ordinance in October 1st, 1975. The property is only approximately 75 feet in width and 100 feet in depth. The applicant became fully responsible for the property on October 25th in 2016. Parcel 18923000001200000, herefore after referred to as the applicant's parcel, is located in the future land use area of rural residential and is of ideal dimensional requirements for the residential 2 parcels. Staff was hesitant to move forward with a rezoning due to the spot zoning this would create, despite all other policies and regulations being in favor of a potential rezone for this parcel. Here you can see the future land use showing that everything in the immediate area is rural residential. Here's the zoning showing that everything in the immediate area is agriculture. And here's an aerial of the property in question. Special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land. The property was created prior to the comprehensive plan where it was split via will and death certificate. This resulted in non-conforming size for the agricultural zoning district. However, the exact dimensions, frontage, setbacks, and future land use of this property are all allowed for and needed by the residential 2 zoning district. If the zoning was different, then a variance would not even be required as development would be allowed by right. Special conditions and circumstances described in the previous statement are not a result of the failure of the applicant. The property was originally recorded on December 1st in 1985. In its current configuration and legal description, the applicant became legally connected to the parcel on February 1st in 2008 and has remained undeveloped since the parcel's creation. Granting the variance requested will not confer the applicant any special privileges that is denied by the code. Several provisions in the LDC are already in place for bypassing the 120 feet of road frontage requirement for agriculture zone properties. If the parcel was at least 1 acre in size but still only 75 feet in width, staff could administratively grant this variance. However, due to the smaller size, a variance approval by the Zoning Board of Adjustment is required. As such, no special privileges are being granted. Literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. The applicant is requesting a reduction in the road frontage requirements, so they may develop the parcel and they have owned for 14 years and been unable to develop. They wish to install a single-family residence. It would be unjust to prevent them from developing their land because their property is too small for agriculture zoning, yet perfect size for residential 2. The variance granted is the minimum variance that makes this possible. The applicant supplied staff with a site plan wherein they confirmed that they would meet all the setback and dimensional requirements. The reduction in road frontage to 75 is the minimum required for a parcel that is only 75 feet in width. Granting the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the surrounding neighborhood. The surrounding area of the parcel is mostly single-family dwellings. As such, the development would be in harmony with the immediate area, as well as other development in the agricultural zoning district. Staff finds that the request is in compliance with the LDC Section 45-833 requirements for a variance, and recommends approval of the variance for the reduction in the road frontage requirements in the agricultural zoning district from 120 feet to 75 feet, as it meets the issuance criteria of Section 45-833 of the Land Development Code. Any questions?
Questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Before we proceed, let's do a site visit. Roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The applicant is Thomas Hill. Would you like to come forward? Okay, for the record, please state your name and address.
Thomas Hill, 11702 Southwest 143rd Street, Archer, Florida, 32618.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add to the staff report?
I appreciate y'all taking the time to look at this variance and request, and we've lived in Archer, Gainesville area for over 20 years, same place, and we just kind of want to move a little closer to the beaches, and so we're going to try to build a little barn dominium there. And thank you for taking your time.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Hill? Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wishing to come forward and speak in favor of this application? Anyone wishing to come forward and speak in opposition? Okay, please come forward. let's do one at a time. Okay, Jenny, I have a concern. Is the lady coming forward now? Did she was all, okay, thank you. I couldn't remember. You can, if you want to assist her, that's fine. Come all the way up to the front, please, ma'am. Okay, you can just stand by. Okay, for the record, please state your name and address.
My name is Kathleen White Dugan, and I live in Melrose on State 26.
What is the address?
480. On 26, State Road 26.
State Road 26.
What was that?
It's on State Road 26. And,
Okay, do you have a house number, 911 address?
Okay, it's Melrose.
It's 480 State Road 26.
480, okay, thank you.
Yeah. I live there, and me and my husband, and I just love the place. In fact, when I first heard we might have to move out, I raised my children there. I had 2 husbands to die there, and I was retired. And me and my children still, some of them still stay there, but with me, but that's handicapped. And the place means so much to us, and it's so handy. For the time that I had with it, and I had to stop working, and I don't have anybody but me, you know, just get a little work sometime. But I love that place. I had 2 husbands to die in there. I had 2 children that was handicapped. And it would just mean so much to me. And I am a Christian woman in Evergreen Missionary Baptist Church. I go to church there. And I just love the area. And I was hoping that nobody didn't buy it or whatever, because it means so much. It means so much to me. And we have having problems with it right now because the water is in the road. We had to dig a water thing for the water to go out because it could stay in and come in my yard and all like that. So I don't want to sell it. But I know, and God knows, I don't want to sell it because I work with people and help with people the best I can. And I just love the place, and I've been there for a long time. And I thank God that He has helped me. I'm crippled. I worked 65 years there. And it's if I have to sell it, I have to sell it. But God knows. More than me, or whatever, me and God know, and that's all we need to know.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
And this is my grandson.
Okay. Okay, for the record, please state your name.
Yes, my name is Pierre Littles. My address is 3122 Angora Bay Drive, Middleburg, Florida. Our concern with them building on the land, my grandmother's land is directly across from their land. My mother, who's going to speak as well, her land is directly behind my grandmother's. And then my land is strictly directly across from my mother's, which is behind them, basically. And our concern with them building on the land is we don't feel like the land is big enough to build any type of structure on the land, to where if you put in the dimensions as far as 10 feet from the properties, as far as my grandmother's property, who's connected to them, you know, then me being behind them, and then them trying to put a structure and septic and drainage and things like that, we just don't feel like any type of structure, you know, would be would be able to fit on that land. We just don't think that land is big enough for any type of structure. And that's our concern as far as our lands are so close and them trying to put a structure right there. We just feel like it would be, just too close as far as everyone in that little area.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Little? Mr. Weaver?
It looks to me like y'all use this land to access the mobile home, which is 480 on the map in the back. Is that the case?
We did, yes, sir. We did, because we done had that land for over 50 years, and we've used that driveway for over 50 years. And that to us is not even a concern at this time, because we've also now have gotten a right-of-way, using the right-of-way, and we had that built, so that's not even a concern anymore. But
So y'all
yes,
have a right-of-way
yes.
if this is built?
Yeah, we done had a right-of-way built when he came out, because at first we was like, okay, it's his land, we respect him, we're not going to use his land. That wasn't an issue. So we started using the right-of-way, we had that built, we went through the county, got all of that taken care of. But it's still at a point to where if you look at the land, we have some pictures to where his land is so close to like my grandmother's, and him trying to put any type of structure is really going to be like right there on the property. And if you look, if he comes 10 feet off and then so many feet from the road, he's not going to have enough land to put any type of structure there if we follow the guidelines of him having to be so far from the road and so far from the property lines.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We have someone else wishing to speak? For the record, please state your name and address.
Princess Guide, 478 State Road 26, Melrose, Florida 32666. And yes, I am the one that's behind him. After he had made the statement that, that's his property and whatever, which I condolence that, I went ahead and pulled me a permit and did a driveway beside my mama, which cause we had been using just like that driveway ever since I know as 14 years old, that driveway come in. And just like I say, it's not really the problem of coming up that driveway because I got a permit. I got a driveway now. The problem is it's too close. And I feel like if y'all grant him permission to put a structure singer, y'all should do it for everybody else. And which I don't have no problem. He coming from in town. I can see if he was like neighbor or in that area. But he coming from out of town, trying to come that close. We don't really know him at that point. But I know that's his land. That's why I got a permit to get my driveway right. But I'm thinking he's too close. We got to put drainage. He got to put excessive. He got to do all that. Like he do not have enough property for that. And if y'all grant for him, y'all should just grant it or change it for everybody.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Hill, would you like to come back up and address any of the concerns? Oh, we have another person wishing to, I'm sorry, I didn't see you coming. For the record, please state your name and address.
Margie McGolly. I'm 107 Azalea Trail, Melrose, Florida. My thing is that...
Would you please speak, talking to the mic? Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, my concern is that Melrose has just gotten so congested with traffic that it's just horrible. And where they live over that hill, it's just dangerous, and it's so congested, and with the traffic, if somebody, it's already deadly enough trying to go to her house, and to be that close out to the road, and if someone's trying to turn in there, it's just going to hold up traffic, and to me, just cause accidents because it's over in hill, and being out that far out, it just seems if the county looks at it, that it's just, to me, it's just a danger zone, and and I'm just really hoping that some consideration and everybody work together and we try to figure it out and
try to resolve the issues. And when someone's been living there all their lives like that, and then when somebody comes in and want to make a difference, you just want to make an amends with them, but you want to do it the right way, and you want it done the right way. But all I see is that little piece of property, and I just see danger over that hill with being that close out to the road. So I just ask that y'all consider it and look into it, and we just work this situation out. Thank y'all.
Any questions for Mrs. Magali? All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Mhm.
Mr. Hill, would you like to come back up and address like any issues? I mean, you don't have to, but would you like to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. I have aerial photographs from 2008 and then how it looks now. Everybody there next to my property has been using this property to come out of, from the mobile home in the back and Mrs. Duggan's. For years, they've cut through, and you can see where there used to be grass there, and it's just a road going back to both of them. Now, within roughly the past 6 years, and you can see on this as well, they put a carport sideways between, this is their house and this is my property. They put a carport right here, butting up next to the property, and you can see it in these pictures. It butts up next to the property, and they also put a gate along the property line so that they have to access my property. They made this carport sideways to the house. Now, normally, for years, they would drive right up into their garage. But what they did was put a sideways carport next to their house where they have to come, the only way to get into that carport is come through my property, through their gates on the property line, and then into that. So they've been accessing it for a while, going through there, so the traffic out on the road is going to be less from my property because it would only be us coming out, and they would come out of their normal driveway, or the mobile home in the back would come to the right and along the regular easement. So yeah, you could look in here and you can see that they've built right onto the property line, which if we were talking about, it's 75 foot wide. We were going to do a 35 foot wide barn dominium, so that would give 20 foot on the left and 20 foot on the right. And then it's, let's see, it's 75, so it's 35, and then roughly 35 by 25. So it's a real small place we're talking about putting on there. And we even told them that they could continue using that driveway until we start building. But then they would have to figure out a different way. But this carport of theirs comes right on, I mean, it butts right on the property line. If y'all would like these, I would be glad to let you take a look at them.
Present them to the board.
Can I approach?
Sure.
All right.
They're ours, now that you've shown them to us.
Ma'am?
We have to keep them.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So there's how it used to be, I believe, and then you see where the little carport is.
Okay, yeah.
I'll let you.
You won't see those.
My dad bought the property, and then he couldn't move out that way. And this was about 15 years ago, I think it was. And so I just continued making the payments on it. And then once it was paid off, it's been some years, and we're like, maybe we should move that direction. I used to live on Lake Lily in Melrose when I was 15. I am from the area. It's not like I'm coming from way out of town. We visit the property. We've cleaned up the property. There's trash everywhere. We've hauled loads of trash out. I mean, we tried to keep it clean as we could, but like we're not there all the time. But anyway.
All right. Anything else from Mr. Hill?
I-
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll share the pictures or the aerials. Okay, at this time, we're going to close this to the public and open it up for board discussion and motion. Anybody wishing to make a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve variance VAR 23000013, as it meets the criteria for a variance as required by section 45883 or 833 of the Putnam County Land Development, and authorize the chairman to sign the final order.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve variance 23-000013. Is there any other further discussion?
I'll second.
I thought we had a second. We have a motion and a second, right? I thought we had a second.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I was like,
I just didn't hear it.
oh, okay. I was thinking we had a second. Okay, any further discussion from the board? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion carries 6-0. Just make sure that, there is an appeal process, 30 days. So if there's any issues or concerns, please work with staff. And good luck on your endeavor. Okay, the next thing on the agenda we'll do, I'm going to do that very last. We'll do the minutes, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, we have the minutes for December the 20th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Move they be approved as read.
Need a second?
We have a motion second to approve the December 2023 minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And the next thing is minutes. Oh, this is, let me see that. No, let me see that. I thought I had. We have the minutes for May 17th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Move they be approved as read.
Second again?
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve May 17th, 2023 minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, now we'll get to the election of officers.
Let Mark be chairman and Earl can be vice chairman. You don't think that's going to work?
What?
Whatever.
Be chairman, don't you?
Hell no.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Okay, Mr. Perry, do you want to conduct this
I
election
can, ma'am.
process?
Yes, ma'am. Before we begin, Madam Chair, did we already deal with old business?
I didn't ask, but any old business? Sorry about that.
Because
New
our
business?
election will be under new business.
New business, okay.
Okay. Before we begin, is there any member of the board who is unwilling or unable to serve as chair or vice chair? Mr. Fisher? All right. Okay. Then we'll open the floor for nominations for chair. Do I hear any nominations?
I nominate Linda Osborne.
Ms. Osborne?
Excuse me, please let us conduct our business and we'll answer your question in just a minute, okay? Thank you.
We have Ms. Osborne as a nominee. Do I hear any others? Do we have a motion to close nominations?
I move.
Nominations are closed. Since there are no other nominees, then Ms. Osborne, you retain the chairmanship for another year.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you for the board. No, you can if you want to.
Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Ron West again, please.
We have Mr. West nominated. Do I hear any other nominations?
Yes.
You do? Are there any other nominations besides yourself, Mr. West? No? All right, hearing none, we'll have a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, wonderful. Mr. West, since there are no other nominees, you are our vice chair for another year. Congratulations, sir. And that'll close that proceeding.
Okay, I guess kind of have a motion to adjourn then? We're gonna address that afterwards. Should I address her concerns as far as appeal, but after the meeting is closed? That was what I was going to do. Okay. Motion to close?
So moved.
Adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much, folks.
We can vote on
Oh, I'm sorry.
We didn't vote on the
Motion to, okay. Okay, motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. All right.